Quantum Conversations, your portal to the inner realms. Access infinite possibilities, infinite mastery, and infinite love. Mind-expanding, heart-opening conversations with some of the greatest spiritual teachers, luminaries, and healers of today's world. Usher in new earth by living in your sacred heart. Quantum Conversations is brought to you by AcousticHealth.com, home of music from the universe, online healing retreats, and this program. Claim your free registration to daily shows at AcousticHealth.com. AcousticHealth.com, your portal to the inner realms. Our program starts shortly. Welcome to another Quantum Conversation, brought to you by AcousticHealth.com. I'm Loren Gailey, and I invite you to sit back as we enter the quantum realm, that space of the greater part of you. It is your connection to infinite possibilities, infinite potential, and infinite mastery. And it also goes quantum as we're talking about cellular intelligence and the ability for us to reprogram ourselves and reprogram our life. My guest today is Jules Arnes, and she is a very special purpose on a mission to raise the frequency of humanity. She experienced a deepened and expanded connection with her soul family and the Council of Light. And this actually increased her consciousness. And so she's developed beautiful products and services all about cellular intelligence. Let's welcome Jules Arnes back to Quantum Conversations. Hello, Jules. Welcome.
Hello, Lauren. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Yes, we love talking with you. For those who are new to you, let's share a little bit about the work that you do in the world. You actually remember yourself as a star, and this expanded consciousness actually allows you to receive information, and you create a high-frequency skincare products, as well as what we call DQ, which is a form of cellular reprogramming. Share with us a little bit about how and why how you came into this and why you're on a mission for it.
Thank you for that. I've been in the healing realm. I started studying how to read frequency patterns when I was just almost 17, and by the time I was 20, I had multiple certificates already and was actively practicing. And that was really the evolution of my life from then. It was always, I was so blessed to have some very, very high level teachers. And it came to a time where I realized I had to move into the space where my teacher was my inner guidance. And that really kind of catapulted to the next level when my best friend passed away. And I think I say this all the time, but one of my superpowers is being able to trace energy. And when he passed over, I chose to trace his energy and follow him. And we got to a place where I knew that we weren't going to go any further. And I was actually able to hold consciousness within that space, and I was initiated into what I call the Council of Light, or my council of guidance. And that is really when things started to get really intense, very specific. It really was as if I was sitting in a council and I was told what to do, and I would come out and I would go do it, and just one after another, it was, I'm going to do this, and then I did that, and then before I knew it, all of the things that I was being told to do all interlocked. And of course, the very first thing that I was told to do with all the information and the processes that I was given was to create a frequency-based skincare line using Arnes elements as a delivery system to elevate cellular consciousness as well as the consciousness of what we would call the brain or of our experience in life.
Yes, it's so amazing. We're going to talk more about Arnes because that is intelligence as well, and you're working with it. Monoatomic gold. All right. Well, very fascinating. So as you were following the energy of your friend, tracing the energy, that was where you met with your Council of Light?
It was the first time that I realized that was, it's not that it wasn't there before, but it wasn't there in the same way. Because before it was almost as if it was something outside of myself, or I had to wait to get the information. I would have to ask for it. And once I was able to reach the level of consciousness to where it wasn't outside of myself anymore, the council was actually within me, that everything changed. And I don't really know how to explain it, but it definitely, first of all, allowed me to hold a higher level of frequency, which really recreated a whole different reality for me. And that's one of the reasons that I was so passionate about Arnes, because just introducing that into my daily life really did elevate that, they say the part of the brain that we don't use started activating those parts of the brain so that I could actually hold the space or open my container to have more poured into me. And that's exactly what happened.
Mm-hmm. And so this superpower of tracing the energies is now what you use as well in your Diku. This is the face reading that you do, and it really ties into belief systems. Tell us what's going on there. Tracing the energy to find beliefs or programs.
Yes. So, whether it's you're learning to trace your own energy in DQ, or if you're having a DQ session, what is happening is we enter the cell itself. I call it the master cell. And once inside the cell, your cell, science actually proving now that the skin has its own consciousness. Well, every part of your body has a consciousness. And so all we do is move into the cell, because the cell is holding agreements or belief systems that is feeding into the intelligence system of the DNA, creating the reality or the environment, or another way of saying that is our body. And the skin is the one place that we can actually see. And that's why we love to use the intelligence of the skin, because as we clear those belief systems, super easy ones are just ones that we agree to because of the collective. Like, as I get older, my skin will sag. As I get older, I won't have as much energy. As I get older, I'm going to gain weight. If diabetes is in my family, I'm going to have diabetes as well. These are all things that we don't ever stop to think about. Is that something that I want to be agreeing with? And so what we do is we go in and we identify the belief systems that are showing up in form or a concern, and we clear them and then download a higher frequency pattern that we use an I am for, so that the cell has an identity to move into, and that the person receiving the session, or if they're doing it on themselves, that they have something to focus on that has a higher frequency until the cell can hold that frequency by itself.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's very fascinating. And the work that you've done with folks, when we've done this on New Earth One Network, it really is quite amazing. And so this is very interesting because you're using it for beauty. And then, of course, now we're going to talk about some of the skin products that you have. These are also for beauty. However, let's get a little personal if you don't mind. This is something in your life that you've actually used recently, and it was something that could be quite scary, right? For the collective, I mean, the whole world is worried, or not worried, but eyes on our global pandemic. And so would you like to share your story, Jules? This is personal, and we thank you for sharing it, but I think it really helps others realize our capacity and our power to do this.
So I'm going to start all the way back at the beginning. Back at the very beginning of 2020 in January, I was given the information that the Christ Code was coming. And I had no idea what that meant, but I've always had the connection to the consciousness of Christ, and that we all have the ability to move into that state of consciousness. And I didn't think much about it and kind of continued my daily life until early March, when the pandemic was starting. And so, of course, at that point, I moved into the frequency pattern of it a little bit more. And I won't go into a lot of the equation, but it actually has a very specific equation that is giving us the ability to move through, basically moving into a level of consciousness that we have the ability to create the new earth. Like I said, that could be the whole entire interview, is just dissecting the equation that it actually holds. And so I did a few teachings on that back in March. I think I actually did one on your show. And again, I just kind of let it go, and I said what needed to be said, and just kind of held that to heart. And then it came into our family, and my daughter actually got COVID. I walked in to the situation knowing that I would also get it, because I chose to be in her presence and spend 15 hours in a car. She's in college, right? Yes, she is. And so we knew what we were walking into, and she started having some symptoms. And once it was in my bloodline, I was able to, of course, trace the frequency pattern that it held in blood. And so before, it was the code that I was tracing itself, and I was given the equation and kind of dissecting it, like I said. But once it was actually in the blood, it was it shifted into a completely different equation. Not that it had a different mission or purpose, because the mission or purpose was the same, and that is to elevate the consciousness of humanity. But when it's in the blood, it's actually connecting to the bloodline of what it is to be human, or another way of saying that is where we came from. And so it was really interesting to just kind of hold the space, and she shifted through it very, very quickly, because I know this is going to sound weird, but I was able to move into her system and dissolve into the frequency pattern itself. And I mean, it was within hours. She went from laying on the couch in misery to wanting to do stuff. And it shifted that quickly, because there wasn't the resistance there. And not that she even was aware that there was resistance. So that was fascinating to watch. And then, of course, every time that I would feel into my own body, I did the same thing. I did also have COVID. I never had a lot of symptoms or anything like that, But once I had it in my own bloodline, everything changed. And just gives me, it almost takes my breath away because of how powerful it is. I'll take a little break in case you have a question before I continue. We're like getting to the good part now.
Yes, because you said everything changed. All right, and so you mentioned no resistance, and I know you've got more to explain on this, but that resistance is key. And you saw it as a unity code, a Christ code.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so continue. What happened from there?
So once I was in my own bloodline, first of all, I'll say that immediately I could feel that my consciousness, or the way I was able to hold space, shifted. And at that point, I knew that I needed to trace the frequency pattern a little bit further. So what I did is I went in and again entered the blood and traced the frequency pattern from there. And I entered the space where, most people would probably stop there. It's like, oh, okay, that's the origin. And it makes sense that one of the places that it traced back to was actually Jesus. And one of the codes of the equation was to remove what we call judgment. Or another way of saying that is to remove the crown of thorns. And so I was like, gosh, how could it go any further than that? But it actually did. And when I kept going with it, I entered a place where I call it the hum. And because that's really what it felt like. And I would try to move closer and almost lose consciousness because it was at such a high frequency. I had to remind myself to breathe. And so I sat in the presence of what I'm calling the hum, because I don't know, it's like a pulsation. And what I realized is that it was what I call the God particle, but I had entered it in a way that I had never done before, because normally when I get to the place where I enter the God particle, I'm only in my consciousness. But because I was able to trace this code, I was able to enter it in with the physical sensation of also being in my body. So it wasn't an outer body experience. It wasn't just in my consciousness, but my entire body had the experience. And that is the moment that I realized how important the work is that we're doing with basically upgrading cellular intelligence, is that we all have the ability to exist in that frequency in physical form.
Yes. Wow. That is amazing. All right. So to clarify and to summarize, all right. I'm just blown away here. What you're showing us is that this is for all humanity. We're seeing that this year there's been so much opportunity to see where people can open their hearts a little bit more, to care about others. And that is so interesting as we're coming on December 21st and Unity Consciousness for the planet as she moves into 0 degrees Aquarius, right? And the solstice is the Christ light that comes in every year with this alignment. And so when you were tracing this particle, you ended up with the God particle. Isn't that amazing? So it's, and I know this might be kind of rough, especially if someone lost someone, a beloved, to this virus, but it's almost, there's a level of gratitude or honoring of this virus. Would you say that it is upgrading each of us then? It's an upgrade.
It's an upgrade. And, I've talked about this just a little bit with my community, but is on the 21st is actually when the second wave will hit. And I don't mean the second wave of the virus itself, but the second wave of the frequency that it's here to hold. And it just makes sense that all of this is aligning.
Of the Christ code,
yes.
right? The Christ code frequency. Okay. Wow. Okay, I got goosebumps all over because when you look at, and we talked about this too, Jules, how when we had the meditation on 4-4, right, that was a powerful gateway. I too saw great beings put a crown on our heads. They kneeled in front of us and put a crown on our heads and said, the coronavirus is the unity code. And we can see that it's kind of making people think of others in a way they haven't before. Mm-hmm. New solutions for others. I know there's a lot of other stuff with it that people are resistant to, but if we can look at the silver lining in all of it, that's the beauty.
The part that I've been, you have a kid in college as well, is how do we teach ourselves to become the change? And it's not become the change that's needed, it's actually just be the change that's happening. And that's that part of just dissolving into and just allowing the process to happen, because it's when we have resistance and judgment and we resist the change itself is when we suffer. And that's not what this is about. And it's hard because we have to shift and change, but it's also an opportunity to feel what it feels like to just be the change without the resistance to it.
Well, all right, that's beautiful. And so we're glad that you're good. We're glad that your daughter is good, and you had another daughter that was there with all of you as well in your little hub, right? Yeah. And everyone's doing well?
Yes, everybody's doing fantastic.
That's great. That is great. Good news. So, all right, this is beautiful because what we're talking about when we're talking about Arnes, here we're going to talk about some other tools that we bring in to work with this cellular consciousness. And Arnes is one of them. And one of your latest revelations from the Council of Light, instructions, is that you were told to add Arnes to Shungite. Oh my goodness. How are you working with this?
Oh, okay, so this is I'm so passionate about this because for me, when I have the experience of being within the God particle, it's dark. It's completely dark. There is no light. And the reason for that is that there's no reason for light. It holds everything. In that state of consciousness, no reflection is needed. So there is no need for light. And so when I was brought to bring the Shungite into the Arnes, I didn't quite understand it at first, but I knew that there was a relationship to the level of consciousness of existing with no reflection. And so, of course, I started making it and all these different things. And as I am taught to create these things, I'm taught from the same place that I do my teachings from, and that is in the alchemy. So it's not being taught the alchemy, but I actually create it in the alchemy. And the same would be when I do my teachings, is I teach in the alchemy of how to create, not just the alchemy itself. So these products actually hold the very specific system or equation of how to reach the level of consciousness of no reflection. And if that doesn't make sense, living without reflection is the highest level of consciousness that I have been able to reach at this time, knowing that there's a level of consciousness out of it, but it's basically moving beyond living in divine guidance and being so connected to the divine that you don't listen anymore, you're just doing.
That's interesting. Talk a little bit more about that. You're just doing because you're moving in the divine way.
Yeah, so it's, there's this really beautiful space how one of my favorite things to say is, I am the divine reflection. And the I am is the most powerful statement that we can say. But we are still in duality when we're saying I am, because we have to identify ourselves as something. Well, the part of ourself that is identifying ourselves as something is the duality within our own selves. And that's one of my passions with where this coming year I'm going to be launching Own Codes, where it's teaching you how to actually move beyond identity and just using codes in order to create change. So this level of consciousness is beyond needing to identify as anything, because you are the identity of the divine presence without having to say that you are. So you just move into what that feels like or what it is to exist there. And of course, once you're existing there, there is no reflection. And so there is a level of consciousness within that experience.
Right. Fascinating. So when you're working with Shungite and Arnes, and you've got a product, how do we work with that? And what can we do to change things in our life?
There's so many ways I could answer this question. The easiest way is that you don't have to do anything but use them because they're programmed to do the work for you. If that's where you are, if you're just, new into all this and you just want to experience something that's high frequency, you want to gently evolve in consciousness, then I am going to say the elixir is very powerful. And if you have not taken Arnes internally, I strongly recommend that you do not take it internally and start with just putting it on your pulse points, because it's supercharged. I don't know how to explain it, but the first time I took it, I felt like electricity just went through my body. I almost dropped the bottle. It was so powerful. That's level one. And then, if we want to move into the more advanced levels, it's starting to feel, well, what does this feel like? What is this doing? Asking it questions, because it has its own intelligence. And it allows you to move into a space where you start to hear your divine guidance on a deeper level, more clearly. It starts to activate those higher brain activity, and it does shift our lives. And then of course Arnes has been shown to partially reverse aging and allow the telomeres to grow. So at the same time, we get to erase our wrinkles. And, we have to put that part in there, because it is something that happens when we add Arnes. And the Shungite is just amplifying that by bringing in the carbon-60 and all these other really great minerals that are held there beyond just the intelligence it holds.
Yes, and so doesn't Shungite work with EMFs and help clear the field?
It does. So not only do we have that where it's bringing in life force energy, it's allowing more space between our cells so that our cells are able to absorb nutrients, able to reprogram at a quicker pace, all those things. It's supporting the cellular intelligence itself, but it helps protect us from EMF. And so in the package that we have, I have a couple different products where you actually allow the Shungite to absorb through your skin. So your skin actually becomes your own protective, you could say, mechanism. I don't know really what to call it. It's such a weird sensation because when you're putting it on, you're like, I'm definitely gonna be black after I put this on. And it all absorbs into your skin, and it's just this amazing feeling afterwards. But it's just a great, I don't even know how to explain it, because it's electric. When you're putting it on, you can actually feel it working with your own life force energy and creating change.
Well, okay. All right. So let's talk about this package, because there's a couple of items in here, and it's really amazing because I do have more questions about that Shungite lotion. Oh my goodness. All right. So on the show page here is the special offer, and there's two options. Let's talk about the first one. So you can click through on that special offer and you can see the one that you've mentioned, the Arnes. And this is an Arnes Gold elixir. So, oh my gosh, it's got Arnes, Nano Gold, Shungite, and scalar frequencies. So you mentioned we should, so for those who haven't ingested Arnes, you can use it on your skin. But do you just do this every day? Is it just part of your routine?
Yeah, with this one, I do it every day because when I use Arnes, I'm using it with the intention to evolve in consciousness. And, and sometimes that intention will shift just a little bit. But the other way that you can use this is if you're going to be in front of a computer for a long time, or if you're talking on the phone for a long time. So you can actually use it for the EMF protection itself. But like I said, if you haven't taken Arnes internally, I would strongly recommend not moving into that right away and allow your body to get used to the frequency of it before you do that. And it will work just as well because it'll absorb right through your pulse points, enter your bloodstream, and start to create that change that we're looking for.
For those who don't know, can you tell us exactly what Arnes is? It stands for, what is it?
It's monoatomic gold, or orbited rearranged monoatomic element or unidentified substance. So basically what it is it's minerals like copper and gold and silver and silica that are in an M state or spin state. And once it's in a spin state, they call it the fifth dimensional element because it's spinning. It's actually moving on a consistent basis, and that is the part that is bringing life force energy, and that's also the part that you can connect frequency patterns or give it a specific purpose to do, and it's actually spinning that in life force energy. So it's working with your own body to be able to hold that same intelligence.
Yes, all right. So put your intention in there. Fifth dimensional elements, a bridge to the fifth dimension, assisting us in achieving that frequency with the physical body. That is amazing. So, all right, so that is the gold elixir. And again, just put it on your pulse points. Or if you wanted to take it, would you just put a couple of drops under your tongue?
Yes, I would even just start with a drop and just, a lot of times what will happen is you're like, well, maybe I feel something, maybe I don't. And then all of a sudden, like a couple of days later, it's like your whole world is different. And it's sometimes hard to be able to connect to, wait, what's real and what's not. Like, so it's a powerful thing. It's going to activate the parts of your brain and if you don't have a really strong foundation to have a lot of high frequency poured into you at one time, just go into it slowly. It's not about just like amping up and then staying there because, whether we amp up, we still have to process through all the frequencies that are in between. So I just recommend doing it in a really gentle way so that you can actually step into that higher frequency with a strong foundation.
Well, it's amazing. I want to just share, I've seen you evolve so accelerated this year, and I want to say that even in the products that I've used of yours, there is a shift. There's a shift in downloads, in clarity, in breakthroughs. That's what I'd like to say, breakthroughs, where we could say we might not feel confident about things, but then all of a sudden you'll just have a day where you sit down and there it is. It just becomes crystal clear, and what could have seemed like it would have taken maybe 10 hours to achieve, here it's done in 45 minutes. It's there. It's right. It's like a download. It's quite amazing. And even for next year in 2021, because this year has been so transformative, so such a great shift in so many ways that it's hard to even do the things that we've done in the past in the same way. For example, I've got a whole new show platform coming out, and it's like it just has to be something new. And I do attribute it to Arnes.
I feel that too. It's definitely been life-changing for me.
Yes, right. And you've got so many other product lines that are beautiful, and it really is great testimony to the great shifts in that this high frequency, it's frequency in skincare. And our skin is intelligent, and we're just interfacing with that frequency on our light body. You know, this is light body that you're activating too. Would you agree?
It is. You know, the more advanced level is just that, is that we start to enter and I think we actually just taught a light body class from our last New Earth One, and it was actually a really amazing class because we got to go into, well, what are the 5 bodies of light, and what are the levels of consciousness that it holds, and what does that actually mean? Because we're all like, oh, let's do the light body, and what is the process that we're actually going to go through? And on just a very simple but very powerful level, this is the first step of teaching ourselves how to do just that.
Teaching ourselves how to do it. We are communicating with our body on a cellular level using the intelligence of Source. Okay, let's go back to the product lineup you have here. The next item is Shungite 24 karat gold facial toning mist. Now this is interesting. Tell us about this one.
So this one is, I'm going to say I am addicted to this one. I just decided to try it the other day. I don't know why it took me so long. But so anytime you're using a toner, it's going to be after you cleanse, it'll be put on your skin before you apply a serum or a moisturizer. So adding the Shungite to it, and with most of these products, I'm trying to see if there's one that isn't this way, but I add the Shungite in as the Arnes is moving into a spin state. And it's actually a really cool process to see happen, because when the Arnes is starting to form, the Shungite almost like comes and attaches to it like a magnet. And it's creating a very specific frequency pattern in that place. And then that's what I use to create this toning mist. So on a physical level, why do we use a toner? Well, it's balancing the pH of the skin, and it really sets the tone for any products that you're going to put on after it. The other thing I love to do with the toning mist is to use it as a cleanser for the aura. So you can literally spray around yourself, and it raises the frequency. It clears out any density that's hanging out in your aura. So people that are going through clearings, or if you're a healer and you just want to clear the room after you're done, oh my gosh, this just amps up just about any other toner I have, because the frequency is so high because of the Shungite being added to the Arnes itself.
Yes, that is amazing. All right. And that's multidimensional there. You're able to clear your aura with that mist, the Shungite mist. And the gold, we know that gold is a frequency, and it too is an honored and a revered frequency. So that is special as well. What can you say about nano gold?
So the reason, of course, I want to call it a recipe. How about the alchemy of all its products were very specific. And so the gold is used for two reasons. On a physical level, it has the ability to penetrate to the basal level of the skin. So it's bringing the Arnes and all of the enhancers in the products to the basal level, so it's working from the inside out, and it also has the ability to actually enter the bloodstream so that it's upgrading your bloodline. On the other side of it, on more of the spiritual end, gold is the highest frequency element that we have, and it's actually created from stars. And so it's the element is used in the process or the alchemy as the kind of like the antenna, so that when the Arnes spins, it comes back to the exact same place that it left, because the gold is holding the intention of, okay, this is the highest element in this dimension. When you leave, this is where you're going to come back to, so that it continues to repeat the same pattern of the frequency that it's attached to.
All right. Wow. Well, thank you for explaining that. All right. Very, very powerful elements here. And that's a little bit how they work. So then we've got the ohm codes. And this is how you upgrade your cellular intelligence. What are the ohm codes? What is this?
So ohm codes is the next level of DQ. So it's when we actually go in and at this point the cell is ready to move past the identity of the I am and truly move into the space in between, or you could say the void, being able to exist without existing. It has an intelligence of its own once we move into that space within the DNA. So ohm codes is basically taking randomness, putting together a code by being able to hold a level of consciousness for a long enough period of time that we create form to a place where we can actually have the ability to hold space after that to create new form. So I know that doesn't really make a lot of sense, so we'll just make it really simple, is that ohm codes is reprogramming the DNA to be able to hold the intelligence of the ascended DNA.
Reprogramming the DNA to hold the intelligence of the ascended DNA. All right, that's an ascension right there. So this is an activation, right?
Yes, it's a recorded activation. So it's
okay.
The way I would recommend doing it is to either put the elixir on your pulse points, or you could just spray your aura with the toning mist, because the frequencies that are in both of these also hold the frequency of this activation, so that it will help bring it more into a cellular level, because you're holding the space both physically and then in the conscious part of your brain, or wherever the consciousness is. But another way of saying that is it's unifying the experience into physical form. So it's not something that we're just experiencing through our consciousness that we would connect to normally in a meditation, but actually bringing that consciousness into the cells.
Yes. All right. Again, a powerful tool to listen to with these products. Now, how often can people listen to these? Would you do it every day?
That might be a little much, because I feel like when we do it every day, that we kind of lose the process itself. It almost becomes this thing of like, oh, I have to go do this. So I would say do it once a week, but if you feel called to do it more, listen to the calling. But you can't do it wrong, but it is something that you want to repeat until when you listen to it, you just know when it's done. Because they say it takes 10 to 45 days to reprogram a cell to hold a level of consciousness without us telling it to. In this case, with an ohm code, it's a little bit different than downloading a frequency of an I am. So it's a really personal experience of how long can I hold the frequency without trying to make it happen, without trying to attach to the experience, naming the experience, because eventually enter this space where you're just having the experience without your mind kind of interrupting the experience itself, if that makes sense.
Well, that's pretty deep. All right. I just want to emphasize there, you said it's 45 days to reprogram a cell. So we hold, is that right? Because I kind of interrupted you there, but 45 days to reprogram a cell because we hold the frequency of what you want to program it to.
Yes, and so that's the biggest part there is that last part that you said is that, so many times where we say, oh, I'm just going to download this IM and then I reprogram my cell. But the cell actually has to be told more than one time the frequency that it's holding. And that's really when it starts to go into the DQ level 1 is that we teach you how to do that. But it's a process, it's a practice. We don't master it right away. And once a cell holds the frequency of an IM, it also doesn't mean that it doesn't have more work to do. And like as I say that, I know that at the same time, that's not true. It just depends on where we are in our journey and what level of consciousness that we're in. For some people, it clears and upgrades right away. And for others, it's going to take longer. And it doesn't make one right or one wrong. It just means that we're in a different place where our reality is being reflected in a different frequency. And that's what we teach you how to do through cellular intelligence is how to reach those higher frequencies and be able to reprogram it until it actually reflects into your life.
Yes, all right. And so this is a nice little package to work with that. In a moment, we'll do a little ohm codes upgrade here, a little activation for that, so people can get a little taste of that. But we'll talk about the rest of these products before we get there. So this is offer 1, this beautiful little package of the Arnes Gold Elixir, the ohm codes Shungite high frequency elixir with the Shungite facial toning mist, and then the ohm code cellular upgrade activation. That is all there. $12 for shipping. You do ship international. I think that price is $27 for international shipping. But that's beautiful. And you ship out right when you get the orders. So these make great gifts as well for all those metaphysical beings in our lives. All right, so that's option 1. Now, there's another package which actually includes everything in option 1 and a few more really cool products here. So the Shungite High Frequency Peptide Serum.
I love this. I say that about all my products. I'm like, oh, it's my favorite one. But there's just something really special about the Shungite being added to these products. So first of all, they're just so much fun because when you put it on your hands, you can see the Shungite. And so you see the black in it. And then you go to put it on your face and then you feel this kind of zing of the electricity in the Shungite. And then, but with this one, I add the peptides too, because the peptides are supporting the cell to rejuvenate in healthier form. So, and the Arnes actually does that as well. But I love adding kind of these enhancers because, there's part of our skin that's programmed to still exist in the 3rd dimension. And why not add these enhancers to enhance that part of the 3rd dimensional process to reverse aging and be healthier and have the glow and all those things. So that's what this serum is about.
So if you have fair skin and you put this product on with the Shungite and it's dark, does it make it, does it like change the color for a while until it is absorbed?
That is the weirdest thing is no. It actually, and it absorbs very quickly. I don't understand what happens. It's just, I think part of it may be that it's still in form, but it's also partly in a spin state. So that could be the reason. But I'm just going to be super honest. I have no idea why it does that. But I also have learned to just trust the process, and so it's a really fun process to experience.
Yes, beautiful. Again, these are organic products and filled with great nutrients and oils. Really beautiful, beautiful. And I do have to say they smell lovely. Awesome. So then there's also a Shungite high-frequency healing body serum.
Yes, and this is the same way. It has kind of a gray color to it. This serum also has peptides in it, which is, a lot of times you don't see peptides in a body lotion, but this one has the peptides in it as well because, why would we just nourish our face? Let's do the whole body. But then also this is the one that when we're applying it, we literally become an EMF protector within our skin. I mean, it's just the coolest thing. It just still blows my mind.
Yeah, our physical body, it's like a shield, right? And through the skin. Excellent. All right, and so that's for the full body. That's awesome. Here's the next one. It's a coated Shungite necklace, and this is quantum technology. Tell us about this pendant.
Yeah, so this is not one that I created myself. I did some research and picked this. And the other part, and this is going to give me chills, is that the one that I picked holds the frequency of the 9. And the frequency of the 9 I'm so passionate about. It is very connected to the Christ code that we were talking about earlier. And it's holding the ability to enhance our bodies to a place where just making it more physical again about increasing your immune response and lowering stress levels, allowing more oxygen into your blood, spreading the cells out so that they can absorb more nutrients, all of those things. But it's also holding the frequency pattern of what it feels like to exist in the consciousness of what we were saying earlier of Christ, or the ability to move into the 5th level of consciousness, which is being in creation.
Beautiful. Awesome. Okay. Well, that is so very cool. And we do know that with these pendants, you can work with your intention as well, even more so. So it just enhances that. All right, very cool. And then here's another piece in this one, and it's a Shungite high-frequency vitamin mask.
Yes.
So is this like a mask that you wear like a skin cream mask, or is it like a mask that you just put on your face?
Oh yeah, you would do it once a week. You wash it off, so it's
okay.
It's doing your at-home facial. So it's a lot of fun. My daughter is addicted to it now, and so it has the Shungite. It also has activated charcoal, so you're absorbing the nutrients of the carbon-60, as well as fluffing off some of those dead skin cells, and in a really gentle way, because we never want to strip our skin. We want to always heal and not treat, and this mask is the perfect balance of kind of pulling out the toxins and also healing and nourishing at the same time.
Yes, beautiful. All right. Well, there you have it, everyone. Those offers with all of those products are available. It's called the Eternal Gold Shungite line by Infinite Gold and Jewels Arnes. Wonderful. All right. Well, we promised an Om Codes activation or a meditation, a little experience so we can work with that. Can we do this now?
Let's do it. Yeah, so the space that I would love everyone to just move into is to just receive and just have the experience and allow yourself to stay in the experience without trying to name it. Because so many times we'll start to to feel things, or we feel things shifting, and then then all of a sudden our mind comes in and it's like, oh, this is happening, and oh, I'm having a spiritual experience. And like when you start to go into that space, just move back into the experience itself, and that will allow you to absorb the code at a much deeper level, and it's just a really beautiful way to receive. So let's just if you're driving, of course, I strongly recommend you just keep your eyes on the road. And if not, just shut your eyes and place your hands on your heart and just take in a few deep breaths. And then we're just going to call upon the God particle to assist the highest level of frequency available to each and every one of us in our own state of being, within our own experience, but allowing that experience to enter unity consciousness. And just take in another deep breath and feel what it feels like to exist within unity consciousness and still have the experience of physical form. And now we will move into the center of the brain, and at the top of your head, just a beautiful white blue light begins to drip, entering the brain, and every time it drips and enters the brain, it expands out, just clearing the mind of any thoughts or worries, just allowing this beautiful space to have the experience without naming the experience. And now I will enter the universal master cell. And we're just allowing this beautiful light to enter, clearing out any density. And I enter the nucleus of the cell, and we'll start to trace the double helix. I'm identifying where the code will come in. Now I'm entering the double helix, right into the space in between. And as I hold the space in between, just give me one moment to allow the code to come in. The code is positive 9, 8, 11, 9, 1, 4, 5. We're allowing that to bounce back and forth across the double helix as it creates a frequency pattern, just feeling the experience. And just like a kaleidoscope, it allows these codes to light up the energy centers of the mind so that it can also hold the reflection of what these codes are here to offer. You may feel some pressure in the brain. And now we're going to allow this code to sequence. And as it sequences, it is allowing this intelligence to download into every cell of the body and the space in between. Just feeling it move through your body and just taking in another deep breath. We'll lock that in and then just breathing it out. Thank you. I love you. It is done. And if you'd like, Lauren, I can tell you what the code means.
Well, I just want to say I hope everyone felt that. In the head, it almost felt like, I don't want to say wobbly, it wasn't wobbly, but it was kind of moving and like just expanding. I could totally feel that in my brain. I hope everyone took that moment to receive that. Jules, what does it mean?
So the code that came in was, it just I was like just about to say that, and it almost took my breath away. So it was, really what my passion is with all of this work is the ability to hold the level of consciousness of eternity. And I don't mean that in the space of I'm afraid to die and I want to live forever, but the space that's actually our true nature. And so the code that came in immediately did like what I call the inside out. So it took what our concept of what that is and turned it inside out and said, no, that's not even what it is. Like you aren't even at a place where you can have the understanding of what this code is. And that's why I was like, okay, well, we'll just let it come in. But there is an intelligence behind it. And so it's taking the level of where we are with our understanding of what eternity is, bringing it into that Christ code, then bringing it down to be able to hold that level of consciousness in physical form, creating a platform of freedom. And that last part, the freedom, was when it just spread out and just went into more energy centers of the brain that I've ever seen before. And so I think that's the piece that we all sit with is what does it mean to be free? And what does it feel like to be in this form and be free? Because so many times we limit ourselves with the experience of being in form, and this code is here to allow us to move into the freedom of what form can actually be.
Yes, and so when I described what it felt like for me, it was almost like the limitations in the mind, the belief systems in the mind, thinking that you knew what that is. It was being unraveled. It was being reversed. It was being rewired because it's something that we can't even perceive. So that was very interesting. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. What a gift for everyone to really have access to hold that level of consciousness of eternity.
I love how you had the experience of the code when it was happening. That's really amazing, Lauren.
Well, if we take the time to really be present and feel, it is palpable. And so sharing what it feels like actually helps other people feel into what they experienced. So if anyone wants to share, please do so. Let us know what you felt, if you felt that OM code activation. I have a question coming in here. This goes back to the virus. And this is a question from Susan. And so when you just were explaining, I think this is a good way to put this. We were just talking about holding the level of consciousness of eternity. And so that actually moves us out of fear and resistance and putting a label on anything. And so with that mindset, here's a question. Would you say that the virus is contagious and or that it is selective? Can you expand on this? You know, personally I say it's real, it's contagious, it's airborne, but how I don't know. Share on that, please.
I think you were right on, Lauren, is yes. In the reality for most of us, it is. It's a contagious, it's a virus, it's something that we experience on a physical level, on some level. But then the answer is also no if you are not in that state of consciousness. But that's where this work starts to get so difficult to communicate because we're communicating through so many different truths. And for some people, that will be a very real experience because it's the agreement that they've made. And then for others, it won't be. And it doesn't make one experience right or wrong. It's just what frequency are we in to where we're matching the frequency that is being held within the virus. And for some of us, it will be surreal. For me, it was a surreal experience. Was it contagious? Yes, it was. I had the virus. Once it was in my system is really where I got to have the choice of how I wanted to experience the virus. And what I love about how this code came in the form of a virus is because a virus spreads. And just like a belief system can spread or an agreement could spread, like one person decides, I believe in this, and then the next person will be like, yes, I believe in that too. And then all of a sudden, what one person decided they believed, everybody else is believing on some level if they agreed that that was true. Well, the virus has spread, but we all get to have our own agreement on the experience that we want to have with it.
Okay. Well, again, we are happy that you guys have moved through it and everybody's safe there. That's wonderful. Well, everyone stay safe. Stay safe. Here we go. I want to share another comment from Jane in Switzerland. She shares, feeling the tears of gratitude to be living here now. And it's being turned inside out. Yeah. Yeah.
I love Jane.
Again, when you think of, recap again what you feel about this gateway of 1221 here, and Christ consciousness, because you said, here's just another amplification of the Christ light.
It is. It's one thing where obviously we're all feeling it already. The second wave is very well on its way. It's in the energy system right now, and it will be amplified over these next few weeks. And so what I've just been kind of holding space for is, what do I want to actually have amplified? And do I need to define it, or do I just hold the frequency and allow it to unfold? And what I mean by that is allowing enough space within my mind to where I'm not amplifying something that I have an understanding of now, because, for me, it's to move into places that my mind doesn't understand yet, because that's how we evolve. And so I'm just playing with allowing a frequency to come in every day. Sometimes I understand it and I get a download of what it's saying, and then other times I don't. But I will just allow the frequency to be built on top of each other, so that when the 21st does come, I've created a frequency outside of my understanding, so that will be what is amplified, because then over time I'll be able to move into that frequency consciously.
I love that. You're creating that frequency outside of what you know it to be. I love it. Okay. And as we say this, I see the sun beaming sideways in our early evening here, and it's just so beautiful, so indicative of this light that is coming into alignment for this solstice here, and it's so beautiful. I hope everyone is feeling this and feeling that Om code, the code that we experienced, because it will continue to reveal itself to you. So, Jules, what about journaling or using this in dream space? Is there any suggestion about further work with what we did here with that code?
Oh, what a good question. Let me see if there's any guidance that's going to come in, so just give me a minute. Okay, so this is what's coming in, is I'm having this visualization of when we become aware of our frequency moving into, you could say, fear or judgment or whatever it is, whatever the experience is to move back into that center point of the brain and ask to have those energy centers activated again. There it was.
Okay. That was an activation of those energy centers.
Oh my God, that was so perfect. It was like I really had nothing else to say. That just was the Om.
That was like the angelic Om. Om. Beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Jules. You are amazing with the information that you bring forward. This really is New Earth products, a New Earth business. We've said that before. The way that you've brought it forward, the inner guidance, the cosmic guidance, the multidimensional guidance that is a part of this product creation is truly remarkable. There really is not anything else out there like it that I'm aware of. This is really fifth dimensional frequency, and our experience working with it, using these products, enjoying them, is actually what's going to be the testimony and the witness of actually how they do work in our life. So you are popular. These are highly popular with our audience. And so good luck keeping this in stock, because I know that there's going to be many people who take you up on your Shungite line. Congratulations on this new product line. It's exquisite.
Thank you. Yes, I'm so excited about it, and it's really exciting to be able to talk about it on this level. So thank you for holding the space for us to really go to this place. It's been really fun.
Beautiful. All right, everyone. This is Jules Arnes, and again, you can access her special offer for the Shungite line on the special offer button. And also on this page, you'll see DQ Level 1 if you're interested in going even deeper with that program. That's on New Earth One Network. Jules, thank you so much for being here. As we say goodbye, I'd like to just give you a quick moment to add anything else.
Oh, thank you. Well, first of all, it's just my honor, and I just love playing with you. And I feel everyone that's listening and those that will listen later, just know that we are truly one, and we are here to create the change of moving into the new earth. So I just want to honor you for moving into this space, and the time is now. The time is now for us to spread our angel wings and do what it is that we're here to do.
The time is now, and we truly are one. And so if we can see in the collective how we truly are one, and then start getting busy with solutions, that's New Earth. But again, it is a frequency. New Earth is a frequency. And these products by Jules are wonderful tools that allow us to be in that frequency, to literally hold that level of consciousness of eternity. Great tools to assist us. Jules Arnes, thank you for this quantum conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for listening as well. We invite you again to check out that special offer and come dance with us right now as we dance our way to the cosmic heart and just feeling that code that we received, the Om code, and see what that feels like for you. If you don't like this music, just pick something that you do and dance your way with a light heart. Namaste. Thank you for listening to this quantum conversation, and thank you for dancing with us to the cosmic heart. As we raise our own vibration, we raise the vibration of the planet. This show is dedicated to you and all awakening hearts, as we are here to shine our bright light and amplify our love. Access all quantum conversations, special offers from our guests, and online healing retreats by visiting acoustichealth.com. I'm Loren Gailey, and from my sacred heart to yours, I honor your magnificent love and light. We leave you now with music from the universe. Music literally created by the universe, as musical notes were assigned to mathematical equations. The result is this beautiful music, available at acoustichealth.com. Namaste.